All right, everybody, hello and welcome to the Epic Fall Tournament. Well, I guess this is technically the semifinals. I will be your caster for tonight, Mjinga Sana, and this will be two wonderful teams competing tonight. This is going to be a best of three, starting with this first game, which will be starting in a moment. Again, I am your caster, your solo caster for tonight, Mjinga Sana. And we are having, the two teams are going to be Overpowered versus Innocent Bystanders. So these are two of the better teams that have competed, obviously, since they've made it to the finals. The first round of the finals was a best of one. This is going to be a best of three. Now, these teams are guaranteed prizes in the Epic Fall Tournament. The winner will go on to compete for first and second place, and the loser will go on to compete for third and fourth place. So, I'm going to go ahead and let the teams know that we are ready, and we can go whenever they would like to go. So we should be getting into game shortly now. And Champion Select will begin. And again, this is a best of three. This will be the first game in a best of three. And we are in Champ Select. So I don't see any very quick bans going out. I'm fairly certain that these teams have done some pretty good research with regards to one another. So we have Vi coming out. That's the first ban. And it looks like Overpowered is a little bit slow to pick their second ban. So Kassadin coming out, that's the second ban. Not really surprising. Kassadin is a pretty standard ban in solo queue, as is that Vayne, which is the next ban that's coming out. Then we have a Zed, which again is one of the stronger mid laners. It looks like Team Overpowered is wanting to ban out the mid laner for Innocent Bystanders. But they're also banning out Assassins, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they picked a team that was very vulnerable to Assassins. Lissandra, the last ban for the blue team. And we will see what the response is. Wukong actually being the last ban. That's an interesting one. Looks like they've done their research. Wukong probably a targeted ban against that top laner. Wyu Stalin will be the first person to pick, but is taking his time. And he has time. I mean, there's about 45 seconds left on this timer. So Wyu Stalin, man. Ha 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 ha. Just kidding. Pretend like I didn't say that. That was a pretty cheesy pun. It looks like we are about 30 seconds from this pick here. It'll be interesting to see. Typically when people pick the first lane, they pick, I was going to say, either the support or the jungle, because the support and the jungle are not as easily counters as the other lanes. And immediately after the Hecarim pick and the lock-in, we have a Thresh pick and a lock-in. Thresh being one of the stronger supports in the game as well. So it's not surprising that Thresh is picked up early on. So we also have Just Casual picking up Nasus. Nasus is a very versatile pick that could be a jungle or that could be a top laner. Nasus is a pretty powerful laner as well as a jungler. The Wither making his ganks excellent, as well as his Q doing quite a bit of damage in those ganks. But he can farm up his Q much better in that top lane. So there are pros and cons to him being picked in the jungle as well as being picked in the top lane. But that's really not a very telling choice coming out for Overpowered. So it's not like Innocent Bystanders will be able to base their team comp off of him going either in the top or the jungle, because he can do both. Now on the other side, we do have a Lucian and a Shen being hovered over. And Lucian is locked in. Lucian is one of those AD carries that has quite a high skill cap. I haven't really seen too many people do really well in Lucian, and I'm hoping that I'm proved wrong. But Shen is picked up for that top lane. So, interesting pickup in the top lane. It looks like it will be 2 tanks. I guess there might be another top laner for Overpowered. But Big Fat Chocoboko is hovering over that Ahri pick, and Owner Poner is still not telling. Owner Poners hasn't picked a champion yet. So the Shen also is a pickup that can completely change the course of a game. A Shen ultimate can absolutely wreck a gank. So if a gank comes in, the Shen ultimate can turn that gank into a counter gank and blow a bunch of cooldowns. That shield that comes down can absorb quite a bit of damage, and then Shen can come in and taunt up the entire enemy team. Especially if the jungler is nearby, that can change a 2v2 situation or a 2v3 situation into a 3v2, 3v3, or 3v4 situation. And it does look like Renekton is picked up in that top lane, so that will likely be a Nasus jungle. Nasus versus Shen. A very, very farm-heavy lane, not so much a kill-heavy lane. Both of them are somewhat vulnerable early, but as soon as they start to get tanky, it's going to be very difficult for either of those laners to kill the other one. The only thing that would be the exception to that is Renekton probably has more of a chance of killing Shen than Shen has of killing Renekton, especially since Shen doesn't really have natural sustain. Does have that shield as well as his Vorpal Blade, which he can use, but Shen doesn't auto-attack minions a whole lot in that top lane, and Renekton has quite a bit more sustain than that Shen will have. But that Shen does have the shield, and so he may be able to keep himself a little bit healthy with that shield. But my guess is that we will see a farm-heavy lane up in the top, with the occasional kill coming out from Renekton once he hits level 6 and that Dominus is available. Stealth Jukebox actually hovering over that Victor pick, and it is locked in. Victor being one of the not very often played champions in League of Legends. I am excited. I have to admit, I do not know Victor's moves, so I will have to study those once we get into game. So bear with me for a moment at the beginning of the game. And then the Asian Ponies has picked up Nami. Nami being a very, very good support with a heal as well as a knock. I guess it's technically a snare knock-up combination of the two. Maybe a float up is more of an appropriate term. Now coming out for Overpowered, it looks like we are having a Sivir hovered over there. New Sivir being much, I wouldn't say necessarily stronger or different, but the ultimate on Sivir was nerfed a little bit. So she won't do quite as much damage there, but she does overall, I would say, have a very similar kit where she was buffed in some respects and nerfed in other respects. So, I mean, a pretty even champion and a much more viable champion than she was before. So we have all the champions selected. We have about 40 seconds before we get into game, and then we will have a 3-minute spectator delay. So, this again is Overpowered on the red side versus Innocent Bystanders on the blue side. This is the Epic Fall Tournament Finals. These are the semifinals. This will be a best of 3. I'm really looking forward to this game. These two teams are very solid teams. And they both scale pretty well into late game as well. I haven't seen too many Victors, so it'll be interesting to see if Victor scales into late game as hard as some of these other champions. Shen can be a split-pushing beast in the late portion of the game. Hecarim can be a tank that deals quite a bit of damage in the late portion of the game. Lucian, probably the champion that scales least hard into the late game. But with that being said, Lucian doesn't necessarily scale super poorly. But not maybe compared to the other champions, maybe just doesn't scale quite as well. Nami, on the other hand, does have her bubble, which can be absolutely game-changing. Her ultimate as well could be absolutely game-changing. On the flip side, though, Thresh's box, in combination with all of his utility with the Death Sentence and the Flay and the Dark Passage, can also just completely change the course of a team fight in the beginning, middle, and late game. Just Casual on that Nasus will consistently get more and more terrifying because as he farms up his Q, it does additional damage. So he will never stop getting scarier and scarier through the entire game, even if he has 6 items. Renekton being a lane bully with a decent amount of sustain, a lot of tankiness, and a decent amount of damage. The assassination potential from Big Fat Chocoboko on that Ahri could just completely dominate somebody like Victor. It'll be interesting to see that matchup. And then in the bot lane, we do have Panda's Poacher on Sivir. And it'll be interesting. I haven't yet seen a Sivir versus Lucian matchup since the rework. So Sivir will... I would say Sivir has a decent... They both have very, very good dueling potentials, but in very different ways. Sivir has her ultimate, which can allow her to increase her auto attack speed, and then she just has to land her Boomerang Blade and her Ricochet. Whereas Lucian has quite a bit more utility with his abilities. So, we should be getting into game. We have about 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining on that timer. So, 1 minute and 15 seconds before we can get into game. Again, this is the Epic Fall Tournament semifinals. This will be a best of 3. Overpowered is on the red side. Innocent Bystanders is on the blue side. And as soon as we get into the loading screen, I will introduce those champions, those players, and their teams once more. Whoever wins this will continue on to the finals, where they can compete for 3,200 RP and a Triumphant Rise skin for each one of their players. There is additional RP, which kind of descends as you go from 2nd to 4th place. But both of these teams have secured themselves at least a little bit of RP, but that Triumphant Rise skin is not a skin that you can purchase. It's only a skin that you can get from winning one of these tournaments. So, very exciting. We are about 17 seconds before loading. This is the Epic Fall Tournament semifinals. I am your caster for tonight. I'm Jinga Sana, and this will be a best of 3. So this is the first game in this best of 3. And the reason why you see the College of Casting plastered all over this is because I am actually a member of the College of Casting. I also happen to work at Epic, so I guess best of both worlds there. But the College of Casting is a Facebook group where casters such as myself, I guess budding casters such as myself, can join with one another to get access to a couple of casting gigs so that they can improve and break into the casting world. Big news for us as well. We are actually having a live question and answer session with some of the LCS casters on Raid Call in a couple of weeks. And I'm pretty excited about that. That's one of the biggest things that's happened in the College of Casting, so I will be participating in that. Meanwhile, we are loading into this game, so let's go ahead and introduce the various players. So coming out for Innocent Bystanders, we have Wayustalin on Nami, Fehute on Lucian, Azengordo on Arcade Hecarim, I'll probably just call him Asno, Stealth Jukebox on Full Machine Victor, and the Asian Ponies on Yellow Jacket Shen. Then on the red side, we have Team Overpowered with Moon on Thresh, Casual on Nasus, Owner Poner on Renekton, Big Fat Chocoboko, or just Big Fat on Ahri, and then Panda's Poacher on that Sivir. We are at almost 100% loading for each one of these champions, so we should be getting into game very soon. And while we are loading, I want to double check to make sure that I have the correct overlays. So, yes, I do. So this is the odd games and even games. Just wanted to make sure I didn't trip you guys up there. So we are into game. Let me go ahead and switch these so it's easier to see the farm between the two. Lane matchups. And I believe, there we go. Okay, so we are into game now. And it doesn't look like either team is, well, it looks like Overpowered might be coming in for an invade. Panda's Poacher, Just Casual, and Moon moving forward. Wayustalin does spot them out. She is in a very dangerous location. The Thresh Hook does land. Wayustalin taken low. The flash is used. One more Boomerang Blade, and Panda's Poacher picks up First Blood. First Blood going over to Overpowered. And very early in this game, first blood before 60 seconds. So it does look like Panda's Poacher will go back, as well as the other members of the team will go back. This is actually very smart. I see a lot of teams when they pick up first blood, they'll actually stay in lane to continue to push their advantage. But when you get first blood and you don't go back, you're not really able to realize the gold gain from that first blood. And so you can see when they went back, additional items were picked up. And I believe that it was Sivir that picked it up. So you can see Sivir now has a long sword and a Doran's blade. So that will give her a ton of damage in lane, and she really didn't lose any time either. Thresh went back and presumably purchased a couple of more wards. But obviously not that much gold when you have that many people getting an assist. But 400 gold coming out is actually quite a bit of gold. So we are into this game now, and the buffs will be spawning in 2, 1... and the buffs has spawned. It looks like Asno is picking up that blue buff for himself, as well as Nass is picking up that blue buff for himself. Nass is actually getting quite a bit of help, and will be able to pick up that blue buff quite quickly. And this will be a scary lane for innocent bystanders. Nami obviously already going down once to that first blood, which means they'll have to play a little bit extra careful, because it is a Doran's blade versus a Doran's blade and a longsword. But Hecarim is not opting for the more traditional. Why Stalling actually gets hooked up one more time, but the bubble does land, which will keep him safe. Why Stalling taking quite a bit of damage, though, does have a pop a pot to keep himself healthy. Now, in the jungle, Just Casual is picking up his red buff, whereas Asno is opting for a blue buff and then a wolf and then a red buff start. So much more farm coming out, and it looks like Fihute being pulled up by Igamoon. Nice bubble coming out there, but Fihute will be taken very low. Those hooks coming out have been absolutely fantastic, but those bubbles have been in great response to that. There's a lot of pings coming down. It looks like they do have that area warded up, so Overpowered will be aware of that, but it does look like we have Hecarim coming in for a gank in this mid lane. So Adsno opting to gank the mid lane. We know on the top lane the Asian Ponies is taken pretty low. And here comes Hecarim. Big Fat Chocoboko will be able to walk away from that. Meanwhile, Nasus is just in the jungle farming. So you can see the farm difference coming out in that top lane. It does look like Renekton has 16 farm compared to the 7 of Shen. Now Shen will have quite a tough time farming against Owner-Poner. Owner-Poner is actually taking a tower hit there. But no additional kill action coming down. And it does look like Panda's Poacher gets knocked up by the bubble there. The knockback actually knocks him further away. Asno taking quite a bit of damage, and it looks like Panda's Poacher and Moon want to try to turn this around. Wyu Stalin taken low, the heal coming out. Wyu Stalin has about 200 health, and that bubble again stops them from being able to pursue and get the kill. So great bubbles coming out from Nami. Albeit defensively, still really good bubbles. Up in that top lane, Owner-Poner actually taken low. The Asian Pony's taken even lower. Stealth Jukebox actually lands a stun onto Big Fat Chocoboko as he walks into Tower Fire, so they're both taken very low. That was almost a big win for Big Fat Chocoboko, but nice stun coming out from Victor. A taunt actually landing out to Owner-Poner. Owner-Poner taken very low, and the Asian Ponies is trying to pursue, but the Ignite will kill him. Owner-Poner getting out with very little health there. So good job by Nasus coming in there. Looks like Fihute is trying to go in here. Panda's Poacher actually taken very low. Fihute dashes forward. The barrier is used. Wyu Stalling throws down the exhaust on Naboom, but it looks like there was a little bit of miscommunication there. Panda's Poacher low. And also Moon low. So it looks like Panda's Poacher will be forced out of lane there. And then meanwhile in the mid lane, Stealth Jukebox is forced to farm under his tower. But he'll be pretty happy to do that. Now, it does look like Wyu Stalin is going back. Fihute is opting to stay and try to get a little bit more farm. Sivir has gone back, and Panda's Poacher has picked himself up a Vampiric Scepter as well as double Doran's Blade. So that will cause him to do quite a bit of damage in lane. And Fihute, I think, will have to go back in response to this, but doesn't really have the opportunity to go. He's done a good job of just keeping that lane where it is. So nice job stalling there. To try to get some advantages in farm, and now they are tied in farm. So he was down at one point, but they are now tied in farm. So both Sivir and Fihute have 31 farm. I guess 30 to 31 farm. But there you go. At least. Meanwhile, Asno does go up in that top lane. Asno knocks back Owner Poner. Owner Poner uses that slice and dice and will get quite far away. Owner Poner actually very, very tanky. Did go back and pick up a Giant's Belt as well as he had a Doran Shield, so it's going to be difficult for them to kill him. Panda's Poacher opting not to take that Dark Passage, but Moon actually gets a bubble landed on him, and the slow coming out. Moon is in a very dangerous location, but it does look like they will not opt to continue there. The Asian ponies up in the top lane just fighting it out with Owner Poner. They're doing a great job of keeping each other low, but Owner Poner does have a little bit more sustain. However, pops are being chugged on the part of the Asian ponies. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we do have Ari roaming down. So it looks like Big Fat Chocoboco wants to make something happen here. There is a ward in this bush. The pink ward is won by Overpowered, and the Thresh Hook does miss in that bottom lane, but it looks like there are 4 members of Innocent coming down here. Big Fat Chocoboco is in trouble. The ultimate goes off. A actually great ultimate there by Big Fat Chocoboco to keep himself to safety. So meanwhile, the bubble does land onto 2 people. Once again, a fantastic bubble, but there comes the hook. The flay comes out. 1 flash. No boomerang blade to finish the kill off. So YU Stalin taken low, but has not died. Just Casual is coming back from behind, but he's got to be careful. The bubble does land. The ultimate is actually thrown. The Shen ultimate is gone down there, but there was... Oh, Owner Poner actually getting taunted and taken into tower fire. The Dominus actually doing quite a bit of damage. The Asian ponies wanted to get the kill, but couldn't finish it off. So good job by Owner Poner jumping in there to stop the Shen taunt, or the Shen ultimate from actually, proceeding to fruition so that he would end up in that bottom lane. Meanwhile, Asno picks up his second blue buff, opting not to give that over to his mid lane. Nasus, meanwhile, is level 6, so has popped the ultimate and will be able to pick up that dragon by himself. So good dragon control coming out for for Overpowered in the beginning portion of this game. Meanwhile, up in the top lane again, it's pretty much a farm fest. They are poking each other down fairly effectively, though, but no real kills have come out besides that first kill on the part of Owner Poner with the Ignite. Owner Poner opting to go back. The Asian ponies opting to stay in lane to pick up himself additional farm. You can see he's also doing a good job getting himself more additional farm. Big Fat Chocoboco, meanwhile, will pick up that blue buff, so... this will be a difficult lane for Stealth Jukebox until that blue buff does run out. The ping going down, Ari jumping in there, will not land the charm. Stealth Jukebox knows that there's a ward in there now. The laser from Victor actually doing quite a bit of damage. Moon, on the other hand, very sore at losing that pink ward in the bottom bush, so the pink war has begun, and thus far Moon has won the second battle. The hook does land on Fihute. Fihute is not killed. The boomerang blade does miss. Fihute is snared or flayed back. YU Stalin taken pretty low. Fihute opting to use that ultimate to clear the minion wave and keep his tower safe. Asno actually coming in, but not able to land anything on anybody. Meanwhile, in the mid, Stealth Jukebox is about even health with Big Fat Chocoboco. However, Big Fat does have sustain from his passive, where he gets Spell Vamp every once in a while, and with that blue buff, can just keep throwing out those abilities. Meanwhile, Stealth Jukebox doesn't have a blue buff and is hurting for mana. So we also have up in that top lane the 2 tanks going at one another. Looks like Just Casual is coming in, will land the Wither, does land with Q. The Asian ponies just opting to walk back into Tower Fire. It looks like the Asian ponies is in a little bit of trouble. They can just continually tank that tower. They are 2 very tanky individuals. But it does look like the Asian ponies will be able to walk away from that. Asno opting to protect that mid lane because the mid laner had to go back and picked up a Blasting Wand, so will do a little bit more damage. So aside from those 2 kills, one first blood and the other fairly early on in this game, not a whole lot of deaths. But there's a tower going down. Stealth Jukebox actually taken low from one combo from Big Fat Chocoboco. And despite the fact that the kill lead isn't really that much of a factor in the game yet, there is about a 4,000 gold lead. Big Fat Chocoboco does jump onto or does get jumped on by Asno. The charm comes down. Asno does jump into tower fire, and Stealth Jukebox actually not opting to throw down the ultimate on her. She does dash out of the ultimate. Meanwhile, Panda's Poacher does get taken out. Fihute will not pursue, so Moon will get out of that. So that is a double kill coming out for Ahri in the mid lane in exchange for nothing. So Chocoboco doing very well, keeping his team in this as well. And that is 1 kill in favor of Innocent Bystanders compared to 4 for Overpowered. Remember, Overpowered also has 1 tower and 1 dragon, which accounts for that gold lead. Just Casual, again, farming it up in the jungle, trying to get additional stacks on that Q to make that Q do a little bit more additional damage. And it looks like he is roaming down towards dragon. He has picked up a pink ward, and so he does place it down to make sure they don't have vision on the next dragon that he will be getting sometime in the future. It is outside of 2 minutes before it comes up, because we have a nice little timer that will appear for us at the 2 minute mark. There it is. So the 2 minute mark looks like dragon will appear at 14 minutes in. Meanwhile, it does look like Just Casual wants to gank Stealth Jukebox. The ultimate coming out from Shen will... Let's see if the barrier will... Nope, will not be able to save him. The Asian Ponies is now in trouble. Asno comes in there. Does knock back Just Casual. The Asian Pony is taken very low. 1 more Q should do it. The Wither comes out. We'll see if Big Fat Chocoboco wants to land the ball, but chooses not to. So another kill coming out in favor of Overpowered. And thus far in this game, it has been all Overpowered. Just executing well as a team, getting good ganks off, controlling the various objectives, and ultimately, that's what's the difference here in causing them to win this game. Looks like the culling is used from Fihute to try to clear out those minions, and is successful in clearing out those minions, so the tower will survive to fight another day. Panda's Poacher getting pretty farmed, but the farm difference, the only lane where the farm difference is very apparent, well, it looks like Moon is actually taken decently low, but the only lane where the farm difference is very apparent is up in that top lane, where Shen has 70 farm compared to the 94 farm of Owner-Poner. But Shen is farming it up there. Fihute actually... Oh, Moon actually gets knocked up there. A lot of burst damage coming down, and Fihute will take out Moon. Panda's Poacher is now in a lot of trouble. Does opt to pop that ultimate to try to get away. There is no... ultimate available for Fihute. Fihute just does not want to let this go. Does flash. The barrier is used. Wither comes out, so Just Casual did save his support there. Meanwhile, the Asian Ponies did rotate down to the bot, but the dragon is up in 18 seconds. I'm not sure if Innocent Bystanders are aware of this, but Just Casual is picking up the blue buff for Big Fat Chocoboco, so this could potentially be an opportunity for them to take the dragon if they had warded out, but I don't think that they know it's available, because they saw that it was taken, so I think that they assumed that OverPowered took it now instead of back when they had taken it. So they do not know that the dragon is available, and they will opt to get this bottom tower, which should even out the tower advantage. So, red team gets one of their turret, goes down. Now, Nami ironically picks it up, and it looks like Stealth Jukebox, the Asian Pony, and Fihute and Yus Talon are opting to go for this dragon. They do know that it's available, and this likely will be a free dragon because Overpowered isn't in a position to follow up. The ultimate from Fihute is used to do additional damage to it, and that will be a smite. So after the beginning portion of this game going all in favor of Overpowered, Innocent Bystander shows up and says that we are not out of this yet and cuts the gold lead to 1.5k. Now up in that top lane, we do have a decent minion wave pushing. We'll see if Shen opts to go up there. Does not have his teleport available. Meanwhile, this mid turret will go down. Stun thrown down, but it won't be enough to save the turret. Blue team's turret goes down to Big Fat Chocoboco, meaning that Overpowered does have 1 and now 2 turret advantage over Innocent Bystanders. So as soon as they kind of caught up in gold, it looks like Innocent Bystanders fell once again. The Dark Passage actually not being taken there. Good flash coming out for Fihute, keeping himself safe. Meanwhile, he has to go away because we do have 4 members of Overpowered coming down. So they are in a very dangerous location. And Victor does have Ahri jump on him. The ultimate's actually thrown down. The ultimate from Shen comes down. Stealth will go down. Vihute does not have any mana. The tower taking just casual, very low. The ultimate has to be used there. Big Fat Chocoboco also will be taken down. Panda's Poacher being thrown right back into the middle of the team. Vihute has no additional damage. Azengoro exhausted, but does pick up a double kill. Wayu Stalin, meanwhile, doesn't go down, but will go down to the Thresh Hook there, which is a very low damage move. Vihute does get taken low and will not go down as well. Panda's Poacher actually being taken out by Asno. Asno will go down to Moon there, and Moon picks up a blue buff for himself. So a 2-for-3 exchange that does go in favor, because Vihute lived, that does go in favor of innocent bystanders. Meanwhile, in the top lane, the Asian Ponies is picking up I guess, just doing damage to this turret up here. But nobody is really coming to respond to that. So the Asian Ponies will be free to push. Doesn't quite yet have a Sunfire Cape, so can't push quite as quickly as he could otherwise. Opted to go for that Negatron Cloak instead of the other armor item, the Chain Vest that's required for the Sunfire Cape. Meanwhile, if we look on the side of Renekton, Renekton has 140 farm, finished that Sunfire Cape, and also has a Spectre's Cowl. So Renekton is significantly stronger than Shen at this point. Owner Poner doing a good job keeping the Asian Ponies in check. Panda's Poacher picking up the red buff, and now will move on to those wraiths to give herself a little bit more farm. And it looks like there are some pings going down in the jungle, in the innocent bystanders jungle. So it looks like Overpowered wants to put some wards down to give themselves some vision of innocent bystanders. So at this point, we have innocent bystanders actually kind of spread across the map farming, and Overpowered is opting to push into this mid lane. We will see if they have enough wave clear to stop Overpowered from picking up this turret, and they will keep it away for that one wave. And it looks like Vihute is opting to take a route through the jungle, which can be somewhat dangerous, especially since Thresh isn't around. But it looks like there is 5 people in either one of these teams. The Dark Passage actually being thrown out. The hook does miss, but they need a little bit of wave clear. Asno actually, the ultimate actually thrown out from Nami there to try to initiate. Looks like it was because Panda's Poacher got a little bit caught out there. But Wayu Stalin actually taken very low. The Wither goes out. That will be a dead Wayu Stalin. Is that going to be an initiate? Yes, the ultimate from him does go down. Owner Poner actually diving very deep. Will pick up Stealth Jukebox. Big Fat Chocoboco is still at full health. And man, the melting abilities coming out from there. Big Fat Chocoboco just doing a lot of damage, opting to take that Dark Passage. And a 0-for-3 trade there. And they will pick up one more turret out of this. So blue team's turret goes down, and it looks like they will go to try to take some additional buffs while they continue to push. So Overpowered showing their dominance in these team fights as well. Asno actually taken quite low. The hook does not quite land. The stun will, and Asno will go down. We'll see that, the talent from Shen does miss. Dark Passage taking, so that is a 4-for-0 exchange, as well as 1 additional tower taken. Big Fat does want this blue buff, and I can understand why. So Nasus being a good guy, helping her pick it up there. But Big Fat Chocoboco does not have enough mana for another ability, so she will have to auto-attack this to death. We'll pick it up. Just Casual doing a good job picking up 1 more stack on that Q. So Overpowered now has a very large advantage over innocent bystanders. And let's go ahead and talk about some of these item builds. If we look at the AD carries, it looks like we have Sivir picked up a Bloodthirster, as well as Lucian has also picked up a Bloodthirster, but he has an extra Vamp Scepter, so he might be going for a Bloodthirster and a Blade of the Rune King here. Meanwhile, 1 more turret does go down. The dragon will be up in 45 seconds. And both teams do have the timer on that, so wouldn't it be surprising to me if they pick up the dragon right when it spawns. So 29 seconds on that. No team is making a specific move for the dragon, but rather they're clearing out vision for the other team. Meanwhile, Shen still does not have that Sunfire Cape completed, but Renekton has a Sunfire Cape and a Spirit Visage. So Renekton doing a very good job keeping himself relevant and keeping himself very tanky in this matchup. So Dragon will be spawning in 8 seconds, and it doesn't look like Innocent Bystanders wants to counter this, and it looks like Overpowered will be able to take the Dragon for free. Looks like they're only going to send Nasus in there. Nasus can pick it up by himself. The bubble landing, but unfortunately so does the charm and the thresh hook, and Moon is now on a killing spree. So it looks like Panda's Poacher and Just Casual will be able to pick up the dragon. Owner Boner coming just for safe measure. The Dark Passage thrown across to give them some additional person across the wall so they can have some more pushing power. But it looks like Moon is walking into Asno and will walk away from that. Just wants to get a ward down. Ping going down onto Moon. The laser actually missing there from Stealth Jukebox. But Stealth Jukebox is having a hard time against the other team. And it looks like Fahute actually goes in there. Asno gets slowed up by the box. A lot of damage going down onto Just Casual, but that's not really the target they want. Moon also being taken pretty low. Stealth Jukebox going in there. The Asian ponies, their tank is being absolutely melted by Big Fat Chocoboko. Asno tries to use the ultimate to push them away. Stealth Jukebox will go down. Why You Stalling will go down as well. One more auto. Nope, the tower will not kill. Oh no, the tower does kill them. And so that is a 5-for-3 exchange. One tower in this mid lane will go down. And it looks like the bot lane tower may go down as well, and that might be an inhibitor as well. Asno is up in 8 seconds, and so we'll see if Owner Poner can pick up this inhibitor with the help of the minions. Meanwhile, in the top lane, the minions do pick up, it looks like another turret perhaps? Asno going on to Owner Poner there. Ruthless Predator being used to stun him up. Owner Poner should be okay because he does have Panda's Poachers there. The Ghost actually being used by Asno to get himself out of that. So a very, very huge gold swing in the favor of OverPowered. 18 kills to 8 kills. 39.8k gold versus 30k gold. So a pretty big gold lead coming out there as well. So Shen finally has finished picking up that Sunfire Cape, but still does not have a Spirit Visage. Meanwhile, Renekton does have a Spirit Visage Sunfire Cape and is going for a pickaxe. We'll have to wait and see what he picks up off of that pickaxe, though. So finally finishing his boots, does pick up a pickaxe. Meanwhile, the culling is used to push out a minion wave. Quite a bit of farm coming out in the both ad carry camps. Sivir actually has the most farm on the map with 201 farm. Meanwhile, the hook does land on a Stealth Jukebox, and it looks like Stealth Jukebox will go down. The ultimate used from Panda's Poacher to continue to push forward. Just Casual has quite the speed boost, and it looks like he will be able to... Nope, he won't be able to get the Wither down onto Fahute. So they're opting to take the more safe route. An inhibitor has not gone down yet. Stealth Jukebox will be up in 23 seconds. But it looks like all 5 members of OverPowered will be showing up here. And Fahute actually not wanting to jump in there. Iga Moon jumping in, throwing down the box. Asno is in a very dangerous place. The Asian Ponies lands a nice taunt, but will sacrifice himself. Oh my goodness, Big Fat Chocoboko just melting 2 members. And it looks like that might be the game. 4 members of Innocent Bystanders are down. Now 3 members are down. Asno doing his best, but the hook does land, and that is 1 dead. Everybody's dead except for Stealth Jukebox. Stealth Jukebox will not be stunned up. We'll see. Owner Poner will stun him up. No stun coming out by Owner Poner. The ultimate's thrown down. Stealth Jukebox will go down. They do have minions there, and that likely will be the first game. Both Nexus turrets have gone down, and OverPowered will pick up the first game in the finals, in the semifinals of this epic fall tournament. So